BoboVR 10,000 milliamp hour hot swappable battery pack. The KKCOBVR 10,000 milliamp hour hot swappable battery pack a bunch of you have been asking about. Let's check this one out. Books and crap, rear head pad, the battery itself, head strap, top strap. Although this is a Halo design, so a top strap should in theory not be necessary. We will of course find all that out shortly. 50 bucks is about what this is gonna cost you. The price varies a little bit where you order it from. I'm gonna say first thing right out of the box, this feels much cheaper. It is a cheaper strap though. I mean, you're talking 80 bucks even if you got this one at the $80 price. This is a lot cheaper, so I guess we should expect that, but in hand, when you've been messing with this whole time, this does not feel great. It's got the same actual rear cup design, almost actually identically, I think, from the Quest Pro. So what they've done is they've recreated the rear mounts on the Quest Pro right here so that they could reuse a part, because this looks exactly like the one we put on the Quest Pro from that other video back in the day. Clips into place. We do have a side clip that it does not fit through. Boom. Interesting designs on the sides here. These things can be adjusted via a knob. Unlike a BoboVR where it slides on and you move it to where it's comfortable, this one snaps on more like an Elite strap and then gives you this after the fact. A gear that doesn't feel terrible, but it also doesn't inspire the most confidence. You can see how the design works. I mean, you can see the teeth right there, so it's pretty clear how this works. Now we do have a top strap, so we'll start with it, although I'm hoping it won't be necessary. Oh, it's a double top strap design. Weird. Maybe we'll discover reason for that. So if you've been around long enough, you know I don't love the way Meta designed the new top strap on the Quest 3. It's just harder to get things in there. It's harder to get them to stay on. This now adds this design. So you actually run it all the way up through and hook this in the back side. So that part is hidden. Snap this on here. Ooh, snaps on very securely. It doesn't feel like that's gonna wanna come back off later, although that side snapped nicely. Now that we have all that in place, we run this technically underneath the padding because the padding was covering the hole. Not gonna lie, this is not the simplest of designs I've run into here. There we go. This would go up here. This would then go on here as well. This one goes through the back. A little convoluted of a design here, but I guess ultimately the point of this is so this doesn't drift away further than you want it to. Like you get this on there and there's dual layers of support. KKCOBVR, not making it simple, but giving you maybe the most options, I guess. Let's throw this battery on here. Got a tiny little USB cable with it. Okay, come on. I thought it was just shaded on here. It's just, we cannot figure out a design color choice. The one with the Quest Pro was white when the whole Quest Pro was black. And then this one, I mean, this part's black, that's fine, but probably gonna be switching this over to my Quest Pro, honestly. That's in first test, first feel test. Okay, my initial thought was it doesn't really need a top strap. I still, so far, agree with that. Halo straps, if they're designed right, shouldn't really need a top strap, but some people do like them for extra stability and comfort. And then I guess it does, in theory, if you pull up on this a little bit, you're gonna take a bit more of the weight off your face, but I mean, I don't know. I don't think all of this is quite as necessary. The side gear design is kind of neat. It's very loud in your ears when you have these gears this close to your ears though. I'm running into a weird problem. So the way I routed my cable is not the way you're gonna wanna route your cable. The problem was I couldn't fully push this out if I want to because my cable was tugging on it. So I guess I want to run the cable straight out the side, which doesn't hide it quite as much. I was doing that because I'm so used to dealing with these things. I usually know the best way to route a cable where I can hide it and make it a little prettier, but that's just not going to be an option. Very slight tug, but not bad. And I did say one of the very few cons of my current favorite strap was they didn't give you this bit here. So KKCOB did do that. I'll give them credit for that. Battery came with a full charge, but even though I put it on and plugged it in, it didn't decide to stay on, so I just turned the battery back on again. They made an odd choice. They decided to keep this rear head cup, which is exactly the one from the Quest Pro, which I see why that makes sense from a manufacturing perspective. They can literally just reuse this. But the problem with the Quest Pro one all along was where the battery was located, where your original knobs were, you kind of had to get a finger in here to tighten or loosen. And now you're doing that same thing with this, which didn't need to be that way. Bobo, at least on theirs, left you more space. It's still, you're gonna hit this a little bit, you're gonna feel that a bit. But on this one, you reach up and you hit the battery and you're fingering around in between, trying to find a spot to get your finger in there to turn it. It's a minor detail, but it just feels like if they hadn't recycled this piece, they could have made it a little better. I think at this point it's time to take it away and do some testing, fitness games, sitting games, chilling games, feel how this battery weighs in the back of my head, feel if the Quest Pro one I have is swappable. I might have two and I might be able to swap one on that looks a little better. So I'll get back to you shortly after a whole lot of testing and many days and games, probably some rounds of DMO. Why are these facial interfaces so tricky to get in? Okay, stay. $50 KKCOBVR Q3 Pro. Been testing it weeks now. Took it actually on a trip I went on. Was testing it a lot in the hotel room. Been playing it at home. Let's talk about it on its own, and then we're also going to compare it to what I would say is its cousin, although this one does cost more money. Start with some of the cons. It's not really a big deal, but the battery pack being black, I just thought that was so weird because they have a white KKCOB one, although something that I figured out in testing was that the white one doesn't have the same output. So it doesn't keep up as well with the Quest 3, and it's not designed necessarily for the Quest 3, it was designed for the Quest Pro, but of course these are both 10,000 milliamp hour battery packs. They are based on the same shell, so it does fit on there, which meant I did have an extra battery I could throw on there. It's weird because they both say they're the Model P2. It was just the input and output that are different. Although keep in mind, sometimes those ratings are based on the USB port and not what it actually puts out here. 3 hours battery life, almost identical to the BoboVR, which just makes sense. They're both 10,000 milliamp hours. One interesting thing that I will put in the cons though, with this one, it did not want to maintain the battery on the Quest 3 while it was doing it. Went from 99% when I started all the way down to 75 by the time it was done. Where like the BoboVR, it actually held it up at the top of the 90s instead. I found in testing, I tried the battery lower on the Quest 3 though. It does seem like it'll hold enough battery that the Quest 3 won't die while this is still alive, but it just has to be at a much lower percentage to get enough of that power into the Quest. So that was kind of a weird issue. It's a lower price strap, so I got to keep that in mind. So these parts that feel kind of cheap, the gears in here that were kind of freaking me out, they feel pretty solid still even after a lot of playtime, and they do okay, but it is a cheaper strap. The top strap I found got in the way, kind of annoying, but to be honest with you, I don't really feel like it needs a top strap. For me, with most straps, I feel like I can get away without a top, and this wasn't really an exception to that. Like honestly, this feels just as stable and comfortable. The only reason that you may really need a top strap is if you're someone that gets fatigued by a bit of the pressure on your face and you want to be able to loosen it some, it would be nice then to have that top strap holding it up for you. But I found, especially for active games and stuff, I didn't need it. But what I did miss was this back being all this pleather style. You know, Bobo, they got the honeycomb option. I missed that because this got kind of slippery and was slipping around on me. But things I liked about it, I like the adjustability of the sides here. It really allows you to move them quite a ways, although I still felt like I couldn't get it quite as close to my eyes, especially if I was playing Quest Pro mode here, where I go without even having a facial interface. Obviously I can get it way out, but then I bring it all the way in and I can get it close, but I mean, there's still a good bit of distance there. Like theoretically, it could be that close, but I'd say probably a ½ inch closer is what it could be if you're doing it this way and you like it that way. A lot of people don't like this mode. This is really only for people who like having all this peripheral vision. I like the magnets on it. I like the way that it just snaps on. Even when you're putting it on behind your head, it felt like pretty easily it landed where you want it to. You got it on and charging when you needed to. So that means later when we actually have an option where it comes with the second one, you could hot swap it a lot easier. And $50 is a pretty big pro because that's a lot you're getting for that price. Even just a 10,000 milliamp hour battery pack, the other ones we've seen, other straps, you don't usually find them in the $50 price range. So it is trying to be the budget friendly option against the BoboVR S3. So is it good enough to earn its own price tag of $50? I will say yes. It feels like it's a cheaper strap, and if you've been using an S3, you're gonna miss a lot when it comes to this strap. You're gonna be like, oh, why did I make the downgrade? But obviously if you have the S3, you're probably not considering this. This is if you're looking at more of a budget-friendly option. What I would say though, is if you're not in a rush, I would hold out, because what this really needs to be the most effective play method, it needs another battery and it needs a dock for the two of them. Then you'd have unlimited battery swaps, because this thing, even through USB, you could charge it up fully in 3 hours, which meant if you had a second battery, you could literally keep going. 3 hours of playtime, 3 hours of charge time, and keep going. But if they come out with a fast charging dock that you can slap them on, you could have unlimited battery life with this thing. And especially if they can come in at like a sub $80 price with that dock and a second battery, then that would put you in the price range of the Bobo with only the one battery, no dock. So KKCOB is kind of choosing to find their place in a little bit of this cheaper range, so I'll give them that. Overall comfort wise though, S3 still had it. I like that it didn't need a top strap, and it even has these parts that can totally come off if you don't like those on the S3. This, of course, you can get rid of the top strap, so it's similar in theory, but it's missing the fan, which also, of course, would drive the price up further. We've got a whole bunch of battery straps you've been asking about, so we are gonna do an in-depth video comparing all of them all at once, so watch out for that if you're looking for more of the comparison style. But for now, if you've gotten this one, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments and stuff, how it's working out for you. It's a pretty decent strap for the price, but ultimately it's not gonna stop me from using the S3 Pro because I have this, I like it better, it's got the fan, but you are paying a good amount more for this. But let me know what you think out there. Thank you so much for being here with me another day. We've been cranking up as a channel because of all of you. I really appreciate you. So thank you, and I'll see you in another reality.